Hello and welcome to Global Business. You are watching CGTN. I'm Lincoln Humphreys, live to you from Beijing, and here are the headlines. Cautious outlook. The US Federal Reserve has held interest rates steady at 3.5% Wednesday, warning that Middle East-driven inflation will persist through till year's end. Tariff windfall. 6 months into its island-wide special customs operation, zero tariff imports have surged 120% at the Hainan Free Trade Port. And a holiday boom. Dragon boat festivities begin early with a Friday holiday. We look at where China's travellers and shoppers are opening their wallets. First, a look at the Chinese mainland markets, where tech shares rallied this Thursday as investors really enjoyed the securities regulators' pledge to support innovation. The Chinex index jumped at more than 2%, but the Shanghai Composite fell just slightly more than 0.4%, almost 1% up in Shenzhen. Now we'll take a look at how the regional markets performed and how Wall Street closed overnight. We'll start with the US Central Bank. It held its benchmark interest rate steady at around 3.5% again this Wednesday. Despite the fact that the US and Iran are on the verge of officially ending their conflict, the Federal Reserve believes that inflationary pressures linked to the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz will persist at least through till the end of this year. Owen Fairclough reports.
A new regime starts with nothing new at the US Federal Reserve. Kevin Warsh chairing his first board meeting, and a decision to maintain the interest rate that steers the economy at the same level.
The committee decided to maintain the target range for the Fed funds rate at 3.5% to 3.75%.
Surging inflation caused directly by the US-Iran conflict's impact on energy prices is now more than double the Fed's target. But Walsh has argued underlying inflation that strips out big price swings for things like energy isn't as high as conventional measures suggest. That's typically an argument for cutting that rate to gradually bring down the cost of borrowing. But the Fed thinks inflation will remain elevated until the end of the year, and the Board of Governors who vote on monetary policy was unanimous in Wednesday's decision. Walsh's drive to change inflation measurements that can favour low interest rates attracted criticism, partly because it aligns with the view of the man who nominated him, President Donald Trump.
Most of the data that central bankers and other government officials in the United States consume come with old-fashioned survey methods, a national accounts of what the U.S. economy looks like that looks very little like the U.S. economy in 2026.
Trump tried to fire Walsh's predecessor amid constant demands for a lower rate that Jerome Powell largely resisted. And yet those who favour a rate cut can point to an overall resilient economy despite inflation. Retail sales jumped in May, according to data released on Wednesday, following strong jobs numbers and unemployment that remains historically low. Owen Fairclough, CGTN, Washington.
US retail sales beat expectations in May, driven by higher spending at gasoline stations as energy prices remained high amid ongoing disruptions linked to the Middle East conflict. Meanwhile, Wall Street closed lower on Wednesday after the Federal Reserve held interest rates steady. Karina Mitchell has more.
It was a busy market day. Let's start with economic news that came in. We got the latest round of retail sales for May from the Commerce Department. It showed a rise of 0.9%. That was a big surprise to the upside because the expectation was for a gain of 0.5%. The April number was also revised lower, but still up by 0.4%. What this shows is that the American consumer has been quite resilient. It's still able to buy the things it needs to buy, but some experts say that is about to end because they say consumers have been helped along because they got bigger tax refunds this year, and that money has now come to an end, dwindling. So on the day, looking at Wall Street after the Federal Reserve decided to hold rates, its key rate benchmark steady, and we heard from the new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh what he it's remarkable what he did say and what he didn't say, because Kevin Warsh has been known in the past as a rate hawk. He's also been slightly more dovish in recent years, but he's also been a hawk when it comes to the Fed's balance sheet. He believes that tightening it, quantitative tightening, can help indirectly reduce inflation because it then pumps less liquidity in the market. So it caused a lot of confusion because he wasn't going one way or the other where he stood with rates, but there were 9 other officials that projected there would be a rate hike before the end of the year. He did not make any comment. He was quick to say that he has not made any projection about that. He also cut language from the Federal Reserve statement that was veered towards a bias of cutting rates. So it clouded sentiment very much and essentially spoiled the mood on Wall Street, the Dow giving up a record intraday high to finish off by more than 500 points on the day. The biggest losers there, also the NASDAQ and the S&P, off by 1.3 and 1.2%. Karina Mitchell, CGTN, New York.
To glean some greater insights on the US Fed's rate outlook, I'd like to bring in Liu Jitsin, a Senior Research Fellow at the Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies at Renmin University of China. Thanks for joining us on the show. So the Fed kept rates unchanged this time around, 4th consecutive unchanged rate decision, but the tone of the meeting was decidedly hawkish and some mixed signals there, as we just heard. With Kevin Warsh now at the helm, what were the most significant signals the Fed sent regarding its commitment to fighting inflation, and what do they suggest about the future path of interest rates?
I think according to the information, I should say that the decision made by the Fed that to make this interest as steady as no change, that makes the confusion in the market. I think the decision confused Warsh himself, but also the market also. We know that before time that Mr. Warsh was regarded as hawkish and will take some more aggressive and policy toward the interest rate. Nowadays, I think he remains holding the same rate. I think he's still confused what to do, and also he doesn't know the market, the real problem and the real challenges he will face. So this has made his hawkish policy a little bit hesitant, that make no good decision. But because of his policy is trying to show his differences with the former China, and also try to show his independent feature, that not as the market forecasted, that he followed always the political instruction. So he confused himself. That's why we see this decision is still waiting for the judgment from the market. But I think Mr. Warsh was looking closely at the reaction of the market will make a further decision in the near future.
So markets expected a hold this time, but the statements were a little bit hawkish, as you said, and they raised year-end inflation forecasts there, now up to 3.6%. It's tilted odds towards a December hike. Do you expect Warsh to cut, hold or raise rates by the end of 2026? And what data could change that trajectory?
And actually, I'm afraid that for his decision, I don't think any data in the future can make any good influence for his decision, because I'm afraid he normally when made any decision for interest rate should be according to the data from the market or reflected from the market. But actually for Mr. Warsh, I'm afraid he will do the decision first, and afterwards he will look for data to support his decision. You mean that what's the meaning for such a problem? So this is a big problem. So we know that some inflation that is still there, the forecast is negative, and also the employment and the job market is still in turbulence. But nowadays that he confused himself. He even didn't know in which direction, which way he should go. So he's still waiting and see what the further steps should be done. But actually, I should understand his decision is controversial and also confused. But the most important thing that he should understand the real challenge, what the U.S. economy is now facing, inflation or the price of energy on the future labor cost and also the market confidence. All these factors will have more influence because now he's trying to make some reform in this forecast. For instance, he make the market as a blind box. So he will withdraw all this dot plot and not let the market to know what could be happening, what the next policies will be taken. So this is quite uncertain and dangerous for the market.
Inflation already hit a 3-year high with that 3.6% year-end forecast. GDP still seen at 2.2%. How can the Fed curb persistent inflation without triggering a slowdown? How can it strike that balance, especially with Middle East tensions and supply shocks still adding pressure for the rest of this year?
As we know that the United States, the government has already known that the fact that the U.S. economy is slowing down. Even some politicians didn't recognize or didn't acknowledge this fact. But actually, when the data shows the slowdown is inevitable, that people see very clearly. Because the inflation is much higher, the pressure is still on the way for the economic development. And of course, the other points also have some curtain and pressure on the market. For instance, the conflict in Middle East and other conflicts are still involving U.S. interests. That means that the absorbing the U.S. forces, the U.S. effort to concentrate its economic development. This is the point for Mr. Walsh in the time to come. He should make concentration on the policy making and on the market indication in order to get the right policy.
Thank you very much, Liu Zhiqian. Really appreciate your insight. A holding pattern for now, but much more to come. We will see you again very soon, I'm sure. He is Senior Research Fellow at the Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies at Renmin University of China. In other headlines we're tracking for you this hour, Brazil's central bank has lowered its benchmark interest rate for the third straight time to 14.25%, ignoring inflation concerns. The move bolsters President Lula's re-election prospects. UK inflation held at a 13-month low of 2.8% in May, remaining above the Bank of England's 2% target. The central bank is expected to keep rates unchanged at 3.75% on Thursday, despite earlier warnings that inflation could exceed 3.5%. And on top of a 6% inflation forecast early next year. Organisation for Economic and Cooperation and Development, the OECD, oil reserves have slumped by 163 million barrels since the start of the Middle East conflict, hitting their lowest point since December 1990, according to the International Energy Agency. Coming up next on Global Business. Tariff windfall. 6 months into its island-wide special customs operation, zero tariff imports have surged 120% at the Hainan Free Trade Port.
Supply chains. How China and the world are working together to make them more resilient than ever. Closing gaps across links. Connecting consumers, businesses, markets, and nations. This June in Beijing, the 4th China International Supply Chain Expo brings the world's leading experts and companies together in one place. Watch CGTN for comprehensive coverage of the latest trends in technology. June 22nd to June 26th, only on CGTN.
China's top financial regulators have sent out a consistent signal to address headwinds and curb financial risks. The annual top financial conference, the 2026 Lujiazui Forum, has wrapped up in Shanghai today. A basket of new measures was sent out, sending out China's commitment to curbing financial risks. Chen Tong reports.
At this year's Lujiazui Forum, innovation is the key. A basket of new measures and signals was announced. These new measures include improving the short-term interest rate operational framework, expanding the application of stock market's fifth set of standards to the artificial intelligence sector, and implementing a pilot scheme to facilitate outbound investment with cross-border reinsurance income. An action plan to develop offshore finance at the Shanghai Finance Center was also released. Regulators from China's banking and securities watchdog spoke at the opening ceremony, and their topics range from currencies, foreign exchange, and the stock market. But their addresses sent a consistent message. China plans to strengthen its agenda for expanded opening up.
I think it is really emphasizing on the importance of financial service sector. After all, that is the focus of the Lujiazui Forum. Two is I think China is continuing its efforts trying to be more reforming and opening up with both its financial service sector and overall its economic policy, which I think should be welcomed by the rest of the world.
China has also showed its commitment to curbing financial risks. Vice Premier He Lifeng said that China is committed to forestalling and diffusing financial risks.
Based on previous works and efforts over 3 years, risks stemming from local government debt, regional small and medium financial institutions and real estate have been effectively eased. The number of local government financing vehicles, outstanding operational financial debts, and high-risk local small and medium financial institutions has fallen by 70% versus 2012, some down even more than 70%.
China's economy has long relied on real estate and infrastructure. Yet financial regulators have repeatedly highlighted emerging industries as the next growth driver. For instance, the China Securities Regulatory Commission, the CSRC, backs IPOs of hard tech firms on the stock market. They cover quantum technology, biomanufacturing, and embodied intelligence. Forum participants agree these sectors merit greater investment and policy focus.
China is clearly leading the way, and AI, of course, comes into that as well. So these are areas where we see fast growth in China, which we want to partner with in the City of London.
I think China is really doubling down on its efforts trying to push innovation and technological-driven growth models where have more and more new startup companies in artificial intelligence, in semiconductor, in new energy vehicles, gradually becoming globally important companies.
Launched in 2008, Lujiazui Forum convenes annually as the key platform for financial regulators to lay out their outlooks. Judging from this year's event, amid economic volatilities, China is proactively rolling out solutions to safeguard financial stability. Emerging technologies, as highlighted at the forum, will be the key breakthrough in the future. Chen Tong, CGTN, Shanghai.
Shanghai's Lingang New Area has unveiled an expanded pilot program for offshore trade financial services. It follows fresh measures to boost the yuan's global use and manage liquidity, with top regulators at the Lujiazui Forum also authorising 6 major state banks to conduct offshore yuan transactions in the FTZ. The plan shifts focus from physical goods to digital services, such as inbound data processing, where overseas raw data is processed into marketable data products through governance, aggregation and modelling. 4 local banks have been accredited to provide full-chain financial support, moving beyond simple settlement to cover every stage of the data value chain. Officials say it is an example of full financial support for cross-border digital services.
What we are advancing is precisely the full-chain financial support that takes data from compliant cross-border flows to monetization of data products. In the past, cross-border data in Lingang was more about keeping it under control. Now, we want to make it flow smoothly, be put to good use, and generate real value. Financial services must have the courage to evolve, not only to align with international rules, but also to proactively adapt to the needs of emerging sectors like digital trade here at home.
Today marks 6 months since southern China's Hainan province began its island-wide special customs operation. The latest data shows zero-tariff imports at the Hainan Free Trade Port soared 120% from a year ago by the end of May. During the same period, Hainan's goods trade surged nearly 55% year-on-year. The free trade port is becoming increasingly attractive to businesses, with the number of new business entities jumping by more than 61% during the 6-month period. China's high-level opening up continues to draw foreign investment, and Novo Nordisk is answering the call. The Danish pharmaceutical giant is injecting another 200 million yuan, or about $29 million, into its Tianjin production hub. The facility, sprawling across 220,000 square metres inside the Tianjin Economic Technological Development Area, anchors the company's global supply chain. Expansion has been rolling forward in phases, with capacity steadily climbing. Since settling operations in China in 2003, Novo Nordisk has made cumulative investments of 17 billion yuan. Novo Nordisk President and CEO Mike Dustar sees a clear runway ahead for China's innovative drug sector.
I see it increasingly as fascinating and something the world cannot ignore. 44% of all new chemical entities that are introduced are actually made in China. Just a couple of years back was less than 30%, so it's really rapidly increasing.
Kern Liebers is one of the multinationals that have been in China for more than 3 decades. It was the first German company to settle in East China's city of Taicang, which is known as the hometown of German enterprises for its 560 such businesses. Our reporter Wu Bin spoke to the company's CEO and president to find out the reasons behind its latest investment.
This German entrepreneur on the left is Erich Specker, the CEO and president of spring and stamping manufacturer Kern Liebers.
Welcome to Kern Liebers Taicang.
He traveled from Germany to Taicang City in eastern China to announce the latest investment his company has made.
I'm here because we are signing a big investment contract. We've been decided to invest more money into this facility or in our facilities in China.
The investment is worth $20 million and is the company's 12th investment in the city. Eric then takes me to a wall showing the company's history and points to a picture on the wall.
Here, in 1993, that's where you started in China.
Absolutely right, correct. Yeah, 1993 is our foundation in China, in Taicang. We were the first foreign-owned company in Taicang a long time ago. One, very clearly, the strategic location of Taicang. Taicang has a port. Taicang is close to Shanghai. Secondly, I think when you make that decision, there's a lot of intuition going into that decision at the time. And one intuition was the welcoming atmosphere we received in Taicang. And thirdly, and that probably sounds funny, is pine trees. You know, pine trees, there are many pine trees in Taicang. And Kern Liebers is located deep in the Black Forest in Germany. And there are a lot of pine trees in the Black Forest. So the feeling of home when we came to Taicang was very strong, related to trees.
Now, after over 3 decades of development, the company has developed from just 6 employees to over 1,000 employees.
So this is one of the company's production centers. In 1993, the size of the factory was just about 400 square meters. And now it stands to 50,000 square meters, around 125 times larger than the old one. And around 700 equipments are running simultaneously here to produce auto parts needed for your car.
Today, the production of auto parts has become a key pillar for the local economy. German companies now have more reasons to stay here. From a German-style town to the city's vocational education system that trains more than 10,000 skilled workers locally.
More than 560 German enterprises have settled in Taicang since the first one in 1993. It takes 14 years to develop from the first to 100th, but it just takes 2 years from our 400th to 500th German enterprises.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz visited China in February this year, leading a large delegation with almost 30 leading German firms. Enterprises from both sides inked over 10 business agreements in sectors including automobiles, machinery, and energy. And 3 projects are in Taicang, including a zero-carbon park that will focus on green transition of enterprises.
Strategic position and value of China for German companies is increasing in China. The combination of market scale, the industrial ecosystem, the innovation and the stable development in China. So I think these four factors make China irreplaceable for German companies to stay global competitiveness.
China has once again become Germany's most important trading partner in 2025. And German enterprises' investment into China has hit a record high since 2021. Will be CGTN, Taicang, Jiangsu Province.
You're watching Global Business, still to come. Holiday boom. Dragon Boat festivities begin early with a Friday holiday. We look at where China's travellers and shoppers are opening their wallets.
A vast land of 1.4 billion people. The world's second largest economy. Home to stories of the unexpected, the unimaginable, the breathtaking. Stories that touch the soul. Feel the speed, the passion. Enjoy spectacular natural and cultural landscapes. Feel the thrill of cutting-edge innovations. Discovering China. Global Biz. China Travel. We present a China never seen before. 24/7 at your fingertips.
People across China are already celebrating the Dragon Boat Festival, which falls on Friday this year. In Lianjiang, eastern China's Fujian province, residents have organised dragon boat races, with teams rowing in unison to the beat of drums. In Haining, eastern China's Zhejiang province, a traditional dragon boat tug-of-war attracted both international visitors and students. Foreign visitors are learning how to make zongzi, a traditional rice dumpling that is a staple during the festival and delicious. The country also expects an increase in travel over the holiday period. Of course, the railway network expects to handle 83 million passenger trips between June 18th and the 22nd. Passenger traffic is set to peak today with an estimated 19 million passenger trips nationwide. As China gears up for the Dragon Boat Festival holiday, destinations across the country are turning traditional customs into tourism draws, helping boost travel and consumer spending.
In the northern city of Harbin, cooler summer temperatures, dragon boat races, and cultural events are attracting visitors ahead of the long weekend. The city's annual dragon boat competition is already drawing crowds.
Hosting this race every year is a great way to keep traditional Chinese culture alive.
Local authorities are also rolling out tourism vouchers and festival promotions to encourage spending. Across Heilongjiang province, businesses are putting a creative spin on zongzi, the traditional rice dumpling eaten during the festival, offering everything from local specialties to new flavors aimed at tourists.
The flavors are really unique. It was surprisingly delicious. I'd love to take some home for my family and friends.
Further south in Guangzhou, attractions are launching Dragon Boat Festival-themed shows and interactive experiences as holiday bookings pick up.
Traffic on our official platform is more than doubled from a year ago, and ticket bookings have increased by over 10%.
From dragon boat races and live performances to local food and cultural attractions, holiday destinations across China are betting that tradition can be a powerful driver of tourism and consumption.
Today marks the peak of the 618 Shopping Festival, Chinese e-retailers' premier summer sales event, yet this year's campaign reveals significant shifts that market observers say signal the sector's transition from prioritising scale to emphasising value. Unlike previous years, e-commerce platforms this time have scaled back their notoriously convoluted discount rules and abandoned the cutthroat race to claim the lowest price online. At the same time, vendors are moving away from their previous emphasis on sales volume over profitability, now taking a more prudent approach to safeguarding their bottom line. The most striking transformation is the rapid advancement of AI, as JD's digital joy streamer and Alibaba's multi-agent engine, AI Wanxiang, both gained widespread traction, while short video platform Douyin provides computing resources to vendors on its e-commerce platform to enhance their customer service, business operations and strategic decision-making. To better understand the emerging trends of this year's summer shopping season, we're joined by Wang Rui, an Associate Professor of Marketing at Guanghua School of Management, Peking University. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. What new modern consumption trends are defining this traditional festival holiday for the Dragon Boat Festival, and how are Chinese consumers shifting their spending into these more immersive cultural experiences?
So, thanks for having me, and also happy Dragon Boat Festival to you and also the audience. To answer your question, so basically you can see from the previous videos, we have seen a very clear shift from commodity consumption to, the culture activities, experience, immersive experience activities. So that's why you see a lot of the figures or data showing the trips doubled, and also a lot of local citizens or the neighborhood or the people from the other places would actually flood into Guangdong or Fujian or Zhejiang for tourism. So basically, is people would like to see Dragon Boat and the activities from televisions, from the short videos before, but now they would like to go into the local places to experience by themselves. So that's a shifting from the commodity to the service and experience. That's a very big phenomenon that we are observing this year.
With the Dragon Boat Festival immediately following the 618 online shopping festival, we're seeing a powerful online and offline consumption boost at the moment. What unexpected growth areas are emerging from this synergy, and which sectors are best positioned to capture this particular momentum?
Yeah, so if we combine like the 618 shopping festival with the Dragon Boat Festival together, so basically you also mentioned that we are seeing that these e-commerce platforms are emphasizing from like discount or scale from to the values. So we are seeing some the new products like you mentioned, the AR enabled consumption devices, or some online and offline combining, especially if you see some watch some short videos from these social media platform to regarding the best visited places or restaurants or cultural activities, you can actually get some coupons or tourism brochures from these online platforms, and then you can visit offline. So I think these are shifting. These combining your previous question regarding to the service industry and experience activities is actually unexpected growth areas for not only the platforms but also for the these local places as well.
Looking ahead to next year's festival holiday and perhaps beyond, where should policymakers and businesses focus their sustained holiday spending and tourism growth? What specific areas offer the highest potential for long-term consumer demand in China's holiday economy?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I think everybody is looking for the long-term sustainability, not only for like the policymakers, but also for these platforms. And I think that over all these years, the Chinese, citizens actually have already enjoyed a very good growth in the commodity and good life. So I think in the long run, more creativity activities and also the cultural experience visits, which basically is normally belong to the generalized the tourism industry, you will see a very stable growth in the near future. So I think eventually we are moving from a generalized commodity, selling era to is more customized creativity, based these kind of experience, service commodity combined together will be, a long planning for the platforms and also for the brands as well.
Fascinating future indeed. Thank you very much, Wang Rui. Have a wonderful Dragon Boat Festival yourself. She is an Associate Professor of Marketing at Peking University. China's rural areas are leveraging their unique ecology, industries and cultural heritage to integrate agriculture, culture and tourism, boosting summer spending. The blueberry harvest season in Shantou village in southeastern China's Fujian province attracts many families to experience blueberry picking. The local government is boosting rural tourism consumption by linking online and offline sales. In Gangcha County in northwest China's Qinghai province, the local Culture and Tourism Department has been integrating idle livestock resources from herders' homes and recruiting nearby herders to become experienced guides on site. By launching agri-tourism projects, they're promoting grassland ecotourism through the combination of herding and tourism. In southern Hainan province, Haikou City, the Lotus Seed Industry Park not only helps farmers increase their income, but has also added lotus viewing boardwalks and observation platforms. Visitors come to enjoy the lotus flowers, pick the lotus pods, taste the lotus seed delicacies and experience the unique charm of the countryside.
The blueberries growing here are big and round, sweet and tangy. Today, my friend and I came specifically to pick some more to take back for my family to try. Today, we saw Qinghai Lake and also experienced the life of the herders and tasted their food. It's been a really great day.
Wow, it smells so good. It's really nice to go out for a walk and enjoy a beautiful atmosphere.
As China celebrates the Dragon Boat Festival, a growing community of South African and Chinese paddlers are discovering its true power, not just in the race itself, but in the bonds formed along the way. For 2 days, Cape Town's waterfront came alive as teams paddled in sync to the beats of traditional drums, all set against the stunning backdrop of Table Mountain. CGTN's Julie Shire has more. Let's take a look.
To the beat of a drum, a tradition reborn on a different shore.
Thousands of kilometers from China, an ancient tradition is finding new life here beneath Table Mountain. On these waters, dragon boats are doing more than preserving a cultural heritage. They're creating new friendships and building connections between communities.
Now in its 4th year, the festival brought together 12 teams and over 200 participants. For the Cape Town Dragon Boat Association, it's about keeping a 2,500-year-old tradition alive on South African waters. Pam Newby has paddled dragon boats on these waters for over 30 years.
It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, what economic level you are, and it's my family. I like to remind people that the modern form of the sport is 2.5 millennia old. It's the longest running sport in the world. The culture goes back to 500 BC.
On the water, that heritage becomes a universal language where fierce competition gives way to deep bonds.
I've been paddling myself for 14 years. What we find with the team, with the paddlers that come out and come and try the sport, is that they fall in love with the culture, the family, the unity, the camaraderie, the teamwork, the support.
For Chinese locals like Eric Wong, seeing South Africans embrace these ancient customs brings immense pride.
It is a very beautiful culture, and especially this activity that we're doing. And to think that so many people from different cultures are also submerging themselves into this culture, I feel very proud as a Chinese.
The festival extended far beyond the boats. It welcomed everyone who felt a bond to China.
I'm studying Chinese as a subject at Stellenbosch University, and the way that Chinese people share their culture, and they're so welcoming and sharing. I'm wearing traditional Chinese clothes, and people are actually welcoming, and it's really wonderful.
There's so much variety, that there's so much that you can enjoy about it, and also like the welcoming, so you feel that you can easily share your own culture and then find a lot of similarities or things that you may not have known before that are really fun or interesting to share.
And for some, the sport has built entirely new families.
So it's interesting that the love for the dragon boats has brought your love together. And as I understand it, your children also paddle.
Correct. Yeah, I've got 2, my oldest and my second eldest. And in the next year, we're having our 3rd daughter also doing the sport. We've got 5 daughters together.
So we're going to have like a whole team of just our children paddling. So that's going to be awesome one day.
But for Mohamed, the sport carries a larger purpose, a vital lifeline for youth in the Cape Flats, a community long affected by poverty and gang violence.
And I'm trying to get more kids. As you can see, I've got on that side, I've got kids from our area, and I introduced them, and they have been so far dedicated and determined paddlers. And I'm hoping for more people to come and test out the sport and feel what we're feeling.
It's a passion that proves entirely infectious.
Like this, you straighten your arm and you go and fetch the water way in front of you and you sit up hard.
Dragon boat racing has found a home on Cape Town's waterfront, and with it a thread connecting South African paddlers to centuries of Chinese tradition. Julie Shire, CGTN, Cape Town.
Have a very happy Dragon Boat Festival to yourself and yours. And that is it for this edition of Global Business. I'm Lincoln Humphries in Beijing. Thanks for your company. We'll see you next time.